Alright guys, so in the last video we mapped out our schemas for listings, realtors, and contacts or inquiries. Now we're going to actually create some models. Okay, I want to create our listing model, and then we'll create our realtor model, and then we'll run a migration that will create the tables in our database based on those models. So this is actually a Django documentation link here, you can see up here. And this is for model field reference. So when we set up our fields, we need to basically give them certain types. Okay, and as you can see over here on the right, we have field types, and there's a whole bunch. We're definitely not going to use all of these, but just notice we have like date field, char field is for like that's going to be the most common one we use for like the title, the address, the city. Those will be char fields. Okay, date time field, email field, file field for files, and then you also have image fields for files that are specifically images, integer fields. We have text fields for longer text, URL fields. So if you want to check out the documentation and actually look into this, there's a lot of information here. Okay, so let's jump into VS Code, and we're going to go into our listings app. Okay, so our listings folder, and let's open up models.py. Okay, every time you create an app, it's going to create a models.py file. So I'm going to just get rid of this, and the way that we define a model is with a class. So we want to call it class, and it should be the singular version of the app. So in this case, listing. And then we want to pass in here models with one M. Models dot and then uppercase M model. So basically we're extending the core model, which gives us a whole bunch of stuff to work with. Okay, and then we just want to define that class, and then within that we create all of our properties. So the first one I'm going to create is the realtor, and this is going to be I guess the most difficult one, because this is going to be part of another table. So it's going to be the foreign key of another table so that we can form a relationship between realtors and listings. So we're going to set this to models dot foreign key, and this is going to take in the name of the other model that we're relating, which is going to be realtor. Okay, and then it takes a second parameter of what to do when you delete, because if you think about it, if you have a realtor attached to a listing and you delete the realtor, what do you want to happen to the listing? Should the listing delete too? In some cases you may want it to. I don't, so I'm going to actually set this equal to models dot do nothing. Okay, so that will just that will just leave it. It'll leave the listing alone even if I delete the realtor that's associated with it. All right, so next thing is going to be the title, and this is going to be set to models dot, and remember I showed you all the different fields that are available. We're going to use char field for this, which is just a basic text basic text field, and this takes in a max length, and this can be whatever you want. I'm just going to say 200. Okay, so it shouldn't be longer than 200. And then let's copy this down. Let's actually just copy a bunch down. Okay, so after title, let's do the address. And most of the time, the address and title are going to be the same, just because that's the way that I want to format it. But you could have a different title than the address. And for I guess I'll leave that at 200 as well. Okay, so the next field is going to be the city, because the address is just the street address. It doesn't include the city or anything. So we want city. We also want state, and we want zip code. Okay, zip code I'm actually going to set to just 20. State, we'll set state to 100. City to 100. All right, and then after zip code, we're going to do description. Okay, and description is going to be a little longer, or can be a little longer, so we want to do text field. Okay, we don't need a max length with text field. Also, I want to pass in blank, blank equals true. And what this means is that this field is optional. Okay, so it's not, if we're in the admin area, we're creating a listing and we don't put a description in, we won't get an error. If we don't put this in here, then it's going to look at it as required and it's going to give us an error. Okay, I want all this other stuff to be required. So next thing is going to be price, and price as far as the type is going to be an integer field. Okay, so we want to do integer field for the price. We don't need any parameters. You don't need a max length or anything. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just get rid of these because then I don't want to just keep like deleting max length. Next thing is going to be bedrooms. So bedrooms is also going to be an integer field. So models dot integer field. Let's see, we also want bathrooms. Now, this is something that I haven't mentioned yet. Bathrooms, I actually want this to be a decimal field. And the reason for that is because you can have, 1.5 bathrooms or 2.5 bathrooms. And I want to be able to do like 1.5, 2.5, and so on. So we're actually going to set this to models dot decimal field. And then we can format this a little bit. We can pass in max digits, and I want it to be 2. Okay, so the actual first number should be no longer than 2 digits. I mean, I don't think we have any houses with 100 bathrooms. And then decimal places we can also assign, and I just want 1 decimal place, so like 1.5, 2.5, and so on. We don't want 1.50 or anything like that. Okay, so that's the bathrooms. Next is the garage. Okay, so garage is going to be models dot integer field as well, except we want this to have a default value of 0. Okay, so the way that we can do that is just say default equals 0. So you can see how easy it is to set up our database using a model rather than going into like the Postgres shell or even something like pgadmin and doing all this manually. So next thing is square feet. We're going to do SQFT for that, and let's say models. Square feet is just going to be a regular integer field, and we want lot size. So lot underscore size. Lot size is going to be a decimal field as well. For max digits, let's do lot size. We'll do 5 max digits, and then decimal places is going to be 1. Okay, because it's just going to be acres. Like we'll do whatever 2.4 acres and stuff like that. All right, so now we want to do the photos. Now in the schema that we created in the last video, I said it was a string, but that's in the actual database. With Django, we have different types of fields, like we have an image field, so that's what we want to use for the photos, for the images. But in the database itself, it'll be a string. So let's say photo underscore main, and let's see, so we'll say photo underscore main, and then we want to do models dot image field. Okay, now here is where we want to define where these get uploaded to. Now there's something called a media folder in Django, and we're going to set that up, and anything that we upload as far as images or files in the admin area is going to go into that media folder. But what we want to do here is define the folder that we want inside of that media folder. So we want to say upload underscore to, and you'll see all this in the documentation if you want to look further into this stuff. We're going to say upload to, and let's call the folder photos. Now we could leave it like that, but I want each photo to go into a folder structure of the date. So basically like the year, the month, and the day. And you'll see what I mean once we actually upload a file. But the way that we do this is we use the date format of % uppercase Y for year, % lowercase m for the month, and then % lowercase d for the day, and then slash. So this is the location inside the media folder that this field should go to, this image should go to. All right, we want to do the same for the rest of the images. Remember, there should be six other images, and those will be the little thumbnails that open with the light box. So I'm actually going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to just change the name of these to, this will be photo 1, photo 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, and then I want the same file structure here, but I want all 6 of these images to be optional. Okay, the main one is the only one that you actually need. You don't have to have 6 other images. So what we need to do is just add another parameter here of, just like we did above, blank equals true. Okay, that'll make it optional. So I'm just going to copy this, and then we'll put that for all of these. Okay, that way it's not going to complain if we don't upload all 6 photos. Okay, so now that the photos are taken care of, let's put our is published. Okay, so we want is published, and this is going to be a Boolean, so we want models dot Boolean field, and then we can set a default. Okay, we want that default to be true. We also want a list date. Okay, so list date, we're going to say models dot, and this we're going to use a date time field. And then we're going to set a default. Okay, now the default I want to be the current date and time. So in order to do this, we need to bring in the date time package from Python. So we're going to say from date time import date time. And then for the default, we'll actually take that date time and we'll say dot now, which is a property that will give us the current date and time. Okay, but this I'm also going to set to blank equals true. All right, and then that should be it as far as fields. Now, with our admin area, when we have, I mean, I haven't even showed you the admin area because we have no models yet to really show you anything. But we're going to have a table that's going to display each listing. And we need to pick a field to be kind of the main field to be displayed. And what I would suggest here is the title to be the main field to display. So what we need to do is we need to go down here on the same level, no tab here, just do a def, and then we want to do a double underscore str, double underscore, and then self. Okay, and one indent here, and then we just want to return self dot whatever the main field we want to display, and that's going to be the title. Okay, so make sure you do that. And that's it. We'll save this file, and that's our model. Now we're getting an error right here because this realtor actually needs to be brought in from the realtor model. So up here at the top, let's say from realtors. Okay, we can just access any other app we want by just saying the name of it, and then we can get its models by saying realtors.models, and then we want to import the name of the model, which is realtor. Okay, we haven't created it yet, but we will. So let's save that, and you can see it's giving us an error because there is no realtor yet. We have to create that, and that's what we're going to do in the next video.